Good afternoon, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you. Welcome to our webinar Tally SMB Pulse for Business Nonstop. I am Priyesh and I will be your host for this session. Today we have brought this session to you in association with our esteemed partners, NUF Chartered Accountants. Before we jump into the session, I would like to share the accolades of NUF Chartered Accountants. NUF Chartered Accountants is a part of Chaturvedi Group of companies, the foundation which was laid in 2006 in UAE. Since then, the group is providing quality professional services and consultancy to their numerous clients operating in the local, regional, and international market. They are a team of more than 100 professional experts from different domains. They are the registered auditors for all UAE banks and respective free zones. I welcome the team of NUF Chartered Accountants on behalf of Tally Solutions Private Limited. Moving further, we all know that we are in the world where few things are beyond our control, like the pandemic, which has certainly impacted the way we used to run the business. However, there are things which are in our hands, like staying updated with the right practices to run our business and implementing strategies that can help us sustain well. With this thought, today's session will cover one of the most trending topics of the day, ESR, which is Economic Substance Regulations. The session will take place in this order. First, we'll have a presentation on the topic ESR by CA Samir Popat. Then, moving forward, we'll have a panel discussion on the same subject, where the questions received from the registrants will be taken up by the panel members. Also, you'll be glad to know that we have an exciting game towards the end of the show, which will reward 3 lucky winners today. So before we move forward, and I think there are a lot of participants already live with us, I would like to set some ground rules of this session to have a flawless experience and to give you a great learning experience. So first, all the participants are kept on mute mode to avoid any noise and disturbances. We'll only have people from the panel members or me who will be speaking at one point in time so that there is no confusion. I understand that our audience comprises of business owners and finance professionals, and I'm sure we will get a variety of questions. Please be assured we will be answering all those towards the end of the session. You can post your questions in the chat box for the convenience of the speaker to take them one by one in the end. Please be informed that we will be sharing the presentation or the required document if any supporting is required. So we will be sharing it, and any questions which you might have, please jot them down and share with us. We will take them up in the end. Currently, I'm working from home, hence I apologize in advance for any network interruptions or any technical glitch. I will try my best to be slow and to repeat myself, keeping the time constraint in mind. Perfect. Without further delay, let us get started with the learning experience that we all have gathered here for. So, Tally SMB Pulse, as you all can see on your screen, it is an initiative of Tally to support SMB businesses in UAE and other GCC countries by providing business owners and finance professionals required update on various topics in the market. About Tally, I would just want to give you a brief introduction about the company. We are a global company pioneering since in 1986. We have got more than 2 million registered users across the globe, and we have award-winning network of our partners with more than 27,000 partners across the world. We are also a strong team of 400 plus R&D professionals who are continuously working towards improving your experience as well as bringing a product of great quality. Going further, I'm sure a lot of you are business owners and accountants, and you would be interested to know that if this software that Tally talks about, Tally ERP9, is that really affiliated by the authorities in the market. So yes, for benefit of all of us, I'm highlighting this in the slide here. We are accredited by FTA in UAE, and we are also accredited by Gazette in Saudi. The agenda, which you can see on the screen for today's session, is going to be ESR. As I told you, the first topic will be on introduction to ESR, and then we'll have a brief understanding of the relevant activities. We'll also have notification and reporting structure. And in the end, once the session is over, we'll move to the panel discussion. And I will introduce you the people who will be taking these sessions one by one as we go further. To start with our session, let me introduce you to an eminent personality who is with us today, CA Sameer Popat, who's the Director Indirect Tax at Nadeem and Umendra Chartered Accountants. Sameer is a qualified ACA, Associate Chartered Accountants India. Sameer brings with him more than 10 years of experience working with various MNCs like Al Shirawi Group, Maidan Properties, ARJ Group, providing professional services, currently heading the indirect tax department at Nadeem and Umendra Chartered Accountants. Invaluable experience in implementation of VAT and excise tax in more than 100 entities. Expert knowledge in GCC VAT, excise tax, and ESR. And he has also presented seminars on above laws for various institutions, corporate entities, and private social groups. Now you all can welcome him with some virtual applause here. I'm sure you all are on mute, but we can always, try to understand what feeling is going on. So let's without further delay, I would want to call Sameer to take over. Let's hear from Sameer. Over to you, Sameer. Sameer will be taking up very soon. Apologize for the interruption.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I welcome all of you to this economic substance regulations session. Let me just share my screen. So before we start the economic substance regulations, I would like to introduce further our firm Nadeem and Umendra Chartered Accountants, or we like to call as Chaturvedi Group of Companies. We are based in total 3 countries, UAE, Bahrain and India, and we have a total of 8 companies providing professional services. So just to give a gist of the professional services we provide, we work under 3 big umbrellas, which is first is audit assurance and bookkeeping, where we provide end-to-end services related to whether it is your financial audits, whether it is your internal audits or RERA audit and budget reviews. We are also registered with RERA, or whether it is risk advisory, fraud prevention and control. We also provide services in the umbrella of tax consultancy, where we cover all the tax laws related in GCC, whether it is ESR, CBCR or excise tax, VAT, and we will provide consultancy services relating to these laws. And also we handle the queries, and also we assist our clients in filing their returns, accurate returns, and according to the deadlines of the authorities. Lastly, we from our sister company Chaturvedi Software House LLC, we also provide ERP and IoT consultancy services, which covers software implementation, workflow automation, corporate trainings as well. So in short, you will find some companies who provide, let's say, audit services, some companies who provide tax consultancy services, and there are some companies who provide, let's say, ERP, IT. But this is one group which provides all these financial services under one big umbrella of Chaturvedi's companies, group of companies. So just to give a glance and summarize, we have direct offices in 3 countries and 8 companies, more than 5,000 happy customers globally, 100 plus staff of professionals which are qualified and core compliance professionals, We have in-house software development professionals, and our sister company Chaturvedi Software House LLC has been awarded Best Tele Gold Certified Partner in the region consecutively for the 4 years. So that was the brief introduction of our firm, Nadeem and Umendra Chartered Accountants. Now let's diverge into the hot topic, which is economic substance regulations. So first, let us understand that why UAE has enacted and implemented economic substance regulations. So UAE is a member of OECD, Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which has more than 135 member countries. So the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, takes a lot of initiatives into eradicating poverty and trying to initiate the fair trade practices. So as part of their, the initiative of having fair trade practices across the globe, they have developed an inclusive framework to counter and eradicate the base erosion and profit shifting tactics used by the MNCs. What is base erosion and profit shifting tactic? It's generally a tax planning strategy used by the multinational companies where they park their expenditures in high tax regimes, and then whatever revenue is generated from those activities, and after doing the expenditure, they park those revenues in low tax regimes, thereby first taking the benefit of the expenses which are parked in high tax regimes. They don't need to pay tax over there. And in low tax countries, regimes, the countries with low tax, they park all the revenue where they have to pay very little tax or almost no tax. So due to this, the base erosion and profit shifting tactics used by the MNCs, annually the high tax regime countries are losing around 100 to 240 billion US dollars. So that is why the OECD has enacted a 15 points action plan, which all the OECD member countries has to implement in their countries, which will help us to counter the BEPS strategies used by the MNCs. Not even only the MNCs, even taking the cue from the MNCs, small companies have also started doing this. We all know in UAE there is no income tax or corporate tax, and that is why most of the entrepreneurs and even small traders from, let's say, Asian countries like India and Pakistan, or from China or from Europe and US, where these are the high tax regimes where the rate of tax is very high. So they have shifted their operations in UAE. There is, what I mean to say, there is nothing bad in shifting the operations, but if you are only shifting your revenue without any adequate substance in UAE, where you are performing all the core income generating activities outside UAE, but you are just parking your profits or sales revenue in UAE, then it is, it is hampering the tax revenues for the countries where the tax is actually, you should have paid tax, but you are taking the revenue to the country where there is no tax. So the 15 points action plan which OECD has provided, out of that, it mandates at least 4 action points which all the member countries has to implement in their respective countries to remain the part of OECD. Another reason why UAE has introduced economic substance regulations is that in December 2017, when UAE was busy introducing VAT law and we were all busy registering for VAT, the European Union had blacklisted UAE because the UAE had not taken any measures to counter the harmful tax practices. So in response to that, in January 2018, the UAE committed himself to introduce the measures to counteract these practices. But time passed until December 2018, UAE did not take any steps for it. And again, in January 2019, the European Union blacklisted the UAE. So finally, in April 2019, UAE enacted the law of economic substance regulation and country by country reporting, which are from the 2 action points of the 4 mandatory action points enacted, suggested by the OECD. So that is the base why the UAE has taken the and enacted the economic substance regulations and country by country reporting. Now, what is the purpose of economic substance regulations? What purpose it will achieve if it has been enacted? First, it will ensure that proactive measures have been addressed, and it will concerning the European Union on the profit shifting of profits. Secondly, the aim is to improve the international competency of the country. And lastly, with the introduction of this law, UAE is expected to move a step ahead in providing a basis to support the investment in UAE. The effect of ESR. So what will ESR implementation ensure? It will ensure that the revenue is recognized in the same tax jurisdiction where the activity to generate that revenue has been conducted. It will also ensure that the companies who are generating income and parking their revenues in UAE have adequate substance. Adequate substance means they have adequate premises to conduct the business, they have adequate number of employees to conduct those activities, and they are not just straight away doing expenditures and the activities in high tax regimes and to booking their expenses there and just booking the revenue in UAE. So it will ensure that such practices are not followed by the companies. And third, due to these measures, it will seek to prevent shifting of profits from high tax regimes to the low tax ones. Now let us look at the scope of ESR in UAE. So the UAE had declared via cabinet decision number 31 of 2019 on 30th April 2019, and it says that the economic substance regulations are applicable to all the companies that are established in UAE and generate income from relevant economic sector or that are conducting relevant activities. Now, what does it mean that all the companies, whether it is a free zone company, whether it is a mainland company, whether it is an offshore company which has a trade license in UAE or has a permit from the UAE authority to conduct commercial activity, they have to assess themselves and see whether they are conducting any of the relevant activities. Relevant activities we'll be looking shortly. So they have to assess themselves that whether they are conducting any relevant activities and whether they are generating any income from such relevant activities, and they have to file. First step is to file the notification to the relevant authorities. The only exemption given in this economic substance regulations is to the companies whose holding company or if any government authority or the Emirate of Dubai or any government entity holds 51% or more of the company's shareholding. Only those companies will be exempted from the ESR scope. Even those companies still have to file the notification. So as I said previously, adequate substance needs to be maintained in UAE if you are conducting the relevant activities in the UAE and if you are recognizing the revenue from those activities in the UAE. So what is the adequate substance? There is nowhere in the law defined what will be the adequate. Let's say a company generating 10 million of revenue from trading. One company, maybe if it's controlling all the activities like storing of the goods, even dealing with the transportation, managing the inventory, it might require full function and let's say 3 to 4 people will be adequate. They will need to have a storage facility in UAE. So that will be adequate for them. And for some companies who are just doing the intending business, let's say they are just booking the commission, they are earning revenue out of commission, still trading, they are not taking the ownership of the goods, they are just earning commission out of it. For them, even a single person with a flexi desk office can be said to have an adequate substance. So these directions which has been given in the law, it's just for the information. So for a company to justify that it has adequate substance in UAE, the business has to be directed and managed in the UAE. It should have adequate number of employees. Now, Adequate can be, as I explained earlier, it can be any number. One person is also enough, and maybe 10 people are also not enough, depending on the activity you are carrying and your complexity of the operations you are carrying on. And the employees must be qualified. Somebody carrying on an insurance business, he cannot be a person who is expert in let's say teaching. He cannot do the insurance business. Just for an example, vague example. What is another criteria? It should have adequate expenditure proportionate to the level of activity carried on in the UAE. So it's not that you just book the profits or revenue from the activities in UAE. You also, if you are generating income, for sure you would be incurring some expenses. So those expenses also should be done in UAE and should be booked in UAE. It should have the adequate level of physical presence in UAE. That also can be very subjective. And it conducts the core income generating activity. So what the law has done, the economic substance regulation mentions 9 relevant activities. If you are conducting those 9 relevant activities, you have to make sure that you have adequate economic substance in UAE. And for that to ensure that you have adequate substance, you need to conduct the core income generating activities, which has been mentioned in the law. But that list is exhaustive. It's not that whatever the activities are mentioned in the law, or if you are doing that activity, you are conducting and satisfying the substance. No, you might be doing certain activities which might not be listed in the law as core income generating activity, but it still suffices the adequate substance. So this is ESR decision tree, which is on the Ministry of Finance website. What does it say? That does the license have a trade license permit issued by UAE regulatory authority? No, then regulations do not apply to you. If for these regulations to apply to you, you need to have a permit or a license to conduct a commercial activity in UAE. If yes, does the licensee conduct a relevant activity? Now this is where it applies to, it says if you are not conducting a relevant activity, regulations do not apply. But for you to understand whether the relevant activities apply to you or not, you need to study the law, you need to assess what kind of transactions you are doing and whether you are conducting any relevant activity. So whether you are conducting a relevant activity or not, you will have to assess yourself to see if these regulations apply to you. And if yes, if you are conducting a relevant activity, then yes. Then next question is, does the UAE government have a 51% or a greater or direct or indirect ownership of the licensee? If yes, then you are exempt. If no, then the economic substance regulations apply to you. If you are conducting a relevant activity, you will have to submit pass the economic substance test. Rest are which will so the as per the now logic why this has been selected because of the big MNCs used like macro, if you big brands they need to spend, and once government is successful, that is developed flowing from. So what these MNCs used to relating to the R&D of the research and development to those, they used to debit it in the countries, and they used to put it in the countries where there is high tax regime to take the tax benefit. And once the patent is developed or the technology is there, then that patents, whatever income used to generate from such patents or trademarks, they used to park in low tax regimes or tax havens, let's say where there is no tax. So because of this, the whole substance regulations came into picture. And then OECD, the inclusive framework, they also found out 8 other activities similar to those, where it is called as mobile activities, where you can, sitting in one country, you can do the operations from another country and park the profits in some other country. So these activities are called mobile activities. And that is why the economic substance regulations is focusing on these activities. So let's look at the key considerations for a relevant activity. So what economic on trade license only source activity have a the accounting knowing the over form license activity mentioned in what kind of how you are, whether from core income generating. So that activity mentioned on assess whether you are activity. Possible that one may carry more one relevant activity. In such cases, the ESR reporting has to be done for the primary activity, and the ancillary activity will be having less reporting requirements, which will be specific just to the relevant activity. Now let's look at the relevant activities one by one, but we'll not be spending too much time on very industry specific activities like banking or insurance or shipping or investment. What majority of the licensees in UAE, 80% you can say, are into distribution or service licenses. We'll cover extensively those activities. First, let's look at the investment fund management activity. It includes providing discretionary services, fund management services, which may include investment or divestment and risk-related decisions on behalf of domestic or foreign investment funds. So the economic substance regulations also defines the core income generating activity. Again, I am clarifying that these core income generating activities mentioned by the economic substance regulations is an exhaustive list. So there may be other activities you might be doing which can be qualified as the core income generating activity. So for an investment fund management, the core income generating activities would be taking decisions on the holding and selling of the investments, or identifying risk related to the investments, taking decisions on currency or interest fluctuations, and also preparing reports to the investors or government authority. So if any licensee is conducting these core income generating activities or is in business of conducting these activities, it will be considered as they are conducting a relevant activity and will have to file the economic substance regulations report. Next is lease finance. Lease finance is an activity whereby the licensee offers credit or any type of credit such as loans or long-term credit plans, lease financing specifically in relation to assets other than land, or even providing intra-group loans for a consideration. They will be considered as conducting lease finance relevant activity, and ESR will be applicable to them. So this might apply to most of the licenses. It is not specific. This kind of activities are hardly. There are a few companies which will be having specific lease finance activity, but normal business who are into trading business or holding company business, they also might be conducting this relevant activity. So again, a substance over form approach has to be taken, and you need to assess what transaction you are doing, whether you are providing any loans to other companies, whether you are earning income from them, All those needs to be taken into consideration, and accordingly you have to file the notification. Headquarter business. A company is said to be conducting a headquarter business if the licensee takes on the responsibility for the overall success of the group, or it is performing an important aspect of the group's overall performance. Activities can be taking relevant management decisions, or doing expenditure on behalf of the group companies, or managing the common functions like HR, marketing, or finance, tax, etc. If you are conducting, then it would be considered as a headquarter business activity. Next is intellectual property, which I already explained in details. Intellectual property, if any business has intellectual property assets like trademarks or copyrights, and it is generating income from such intellectual properties, it is considered to be conducting the intellectual property business. One thing everyone should note over here, that in case you have a trademark or a copyright in your balance sheet, but you have not spent anything for that to develop those trademarks or to develop that intellectual property, there is no expenditure, there is no R&D cost, and those R&D costs and everything are parked in your group company, which is in high income tax jurisdiction, then such licensees will be considered as conducting high risk intellectual property activity, and straight away their information will be shared with the ultimate parent company or ultimate beneficial owner, and penalties will be levied because it will be considered as you are not passing the economic substance test. Holding company business, licensee is considered to conduct the holding company business if it conducts the activity of investing in equity or taking controlling stakes in other companies, and they do not perform any other activities or they do not carry any other commercial activity, and the only income they earn is either from the dividends or from the capital gains. Distribution and service center. This will apply to majority of the businesses in UAE. So what is a distribution business? Any trading business conducting import and export of goods. But the main condition is if you are importing from a foreign connected person and selling it to clients outside UAE, you are considered as conducting the distribution business. And similarly, if you are providing services to a foreign connected person, then it is considered as you are conducting a service center business, and you will have to file the economic substance regulations report and establish that you have an adequate substance in the UAE. Activities, core income generating activities for distribution and service center business may be any activities like transportation and storage of the goods, or managing the inventories, or taking orders, receiving orders, sales orders, administration of certain activities like marketing or HR activities, or IT or finance departments, or even consultation. Insurance business is specific to the insurance activities, which is the business of accepting risk by effecting or carrying out contracts of insurance. This is typically applicable to all the insurance companies in UAE, and I'll not go in detail into this, as majority of our participants will be from the distribution and other relevant activities. Shipping business. Shipping business is a business who operates one or more ships in international traffic for the transport of either passengers or cargo. The core income generating activities might be overhauling and maintaining of ships, overseeing and tracking shipping, taking decisions related to operation of the business as well, managing, hiring, or overseeing the crew members. If any of these activities you are conducting, it will be considered as you are conducting the relevant activities. So now that we are done with the relevant activities, now let's see what is the reporting, how you have to notify and who has to notify relating to economic substance regulations. As most of you now would be aware that your relevant license issuing authorities have issued a notification or an email you would have received that you have to file the economic substance notification and submit them by 30th of June. Majority of the license issuing authorities have set the deadline for the notification as 30th June. So all the licensees need to assess their business, see whether they are conducting any of the relevant activities, check if they have generated revenue from any of the relevant activities, and they have to file the notification accordingly. If you see the decision tree which we discussed earlier, where it says that if you are not conducting the relevant activity, the regulations do not apply. But the license issuing authorities, let's for example DMCC, or you can say take DIFC or ADGM, they have made it mandatory for all their license holders to submit the notification. Even if you are not carrying out a relevant activity, you have to submit the notification to them. And this will apply to all the entities whose financial period will be starting after 1st Jan 2019. So for any entity financial year starting after 1st Jan 2019, ESR will be applicable. ESR reporting. So once the economic substance regulation notification has been filed, and if you are conducting a relevant activity, you will have to file within 12 months from the end of your financial year, starting after 1st Jan 2019. So you will have to file an economic substance report where you will have to justify adequate substance that whatever business and relevant activities you are carrying on here in UAE, it is justified and you have adequate premises, adequate infrastructure to conduct those activities. And you have to file a return to the relevant authorities, which will be in detail, like what activities you are conducting, how much revenue have you generated, whether that kind of revenue is taxable in some other countries or no. So it will be a detailed reporting and exactly how much revenue have you earned from such activities. So that will have to be filed by all the licensees who are conducting relevant activities within 12 months after the relevant financial year end. So we have just tried to summarize and whatever information we could gather from different license issuing authorities. So it mentions over here, let's say Dubai World Trade Center, who are required to notify entities that are carrying out relevant activities. Procedure of filing is via email. Sorry. Notification timeline is you have to submit it before 30th June. DIFC is the only one whose notification period is 12th of June. DAFZA, it's already passed, which was 3rd June. Rest all majority of the free zones and even UAE mainland companies have to file the notification before 30th of June 2020. And the relevant reporting deadline, ESR report return which you need to file will be 31st December 2020 for those companies whose financial year started from 1st Jan 2019 to 31st Jan 2020. For them, the deadline will be 31st December 2020 to file the report. Now, what are the penalties? This is where we are all afraid, correct? So, the penalties are in case if you fail to notify, your relevant authority has issued you a circular that you must notify to them if whether you are conducting a relevant activity or not. And if you fail to notify the relevant authorities before the deadline, the penalty is straight away anywhere between 10,000 to 50,000 dirhams, which is huge. Second is if you fail to provide accurate or complete information in the notification or the reporting, penalty is again 10,000 to 50,000. And if you fail to demonstrate adequate economic substance in UAE, so which will be determined when you file the economic substance report. In that case, in first failure, the penalty is 10,000 to 50,000, and also your information will be exchanged with the foreign competent authority. So wherever your ultimate beneficial owner is there or ultimate parent company is there, to that country's in whichever country it is, to that country's relevant tax authorities, your information will be shared, and then those countries will of tax. Economics and please also have the right or not renew. So how we can at annual we of professionals, we have the team we advise and of their any. We also help our client audit. We also whether they are meeting adequate economic substance in UAE, which will help them in avoiding the penalties. And we also help our clients in the filing of the notification and also in filing of the ESR report. My voice is not clear, Priyesh. Hello, Sachin.
Yeah, now it's audible.
So do I need to repeat any of the previous slides? I don't mind if there was a disturbance.
I think the last slide you can repeat it.
The penalties one?
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry for the disturbance. I don't know, maybe a technical problem. So I'll explain this slide. Compliance notify authorities have, and if notification within the relevant authority, minimum 10,000 and 50,000 again. Hello. Sachin?
Yeah, it's a voice problem again.
Hello. Let me check my internet.
Hi, Samir. I think there is some technical glitch because of which people are not able to listen to you properly. What I would suggest that if we have missed out on something really important, what participants can do, they can raise their question in the chat box, and probably towards the end of the session, we can take up those special points. Because there's no point, wasting the time here.
Okay.
Yes. So I think you were done with all the slides.
Yes.
Perfect.
And
So,
panel discussion. So I'd just like to add one thing, that this is the contact details of our expert team. So all the participants can take the screenshots of it. And if we have missed out on any of the questions which might remain unanswered, you can always reach out to us on these numbers. Over to you, Pritesh. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Samir. That was a wonderful session, and I'm sure a lot of information, a lot of people might have had a lot of questions, and this certainly have solved a lot of concerns for me, at least I would say. Uh, what we can do is now, considering that there were few disturbances at times, I would request all of you who have missed out on something or who wanted to understand something which is not clear, please write down in the chat box, and once we are done with the entire session, we'll come to question and answer section. Then we'll take up each one of your questions. Moving further, we have a panel discussion. We'll now have a panel discussion on the subject where questions which we receive from all of you will be taken up by the panel members. So let me quickly introduce you to the panel members. And I request all the panel members to please raise your hand and wave it so people can relate, if they can see you. First of all, CA Umendra Chaturvedi ji. He's a managing partner at NUF. He will be there with his lots of experience and understanding on the subject. He'll help us answer a lot of questions. Then we have Samir Popper. The man needs no introduction. You all have heard him already. Moving to the third panel member, it's Zaki Ur Rahman. He's an auditor and tax consultant at NUF. Along with him, we have Haseeb Hamdani joining. He's also an auditor and tax consultant at NUF. So 4 people from NUF, and then we have Mohammed Salman, who's the country manager UAE at Tally Solutions Private Limited. He'll be there to assist us with any kind of technology related questions that you might have. And then I'm there, Priyesh, as a moderator of the panel discussion. So without further ado, I would want to start with the question and answers. My first question would be from CA Umendra ji, which is, so someone has written us applicability to mainland companies. Do the ESR to be submitted by mainland companies as well? And if yes, does it include all the Emirates in UAE? So Umendra ji would request you to please answer this question.
Yes, all company required to register. Yes, all companies registered in mainland, including any free zone, whether having a flexi desk, business center, or physical office. Because of this is a federal law, so this law will be applicable to every Emirates.
All right. I think that answers our first question. Thank you so much, Umendra ji. Then somebody has written us a question. We have incorporated on September 2019. So we should submit the form before June 30. If yes, what should be the accounting reference period? Thank you. And this question goes to Mr. Haseeb.
Just let me unmute. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So if the accounting period is September 2019, the relevant period would be 1 year. That should be 1 year from September 2019 to September 2020. However, the authorities has already given the deadline as a June 30. So yes, the answer is obviously yes, that before June 30, all the companies having such accounting periods, they need to submit this notification. And regarding the accounting reference period, that would be as per their audited financial statements. And if they don't have audited financial statements, I would suggest they can they need to set a financial period for themselves. They have a choice, but they need to be consistent with it. So if they have audited financial statements, we'll be referring that as a accounting period, the period reportable period.
All right. Thank you so much, Haseeb. I think that answers our second question. And for the third question, I would want to ask Mr. Zaki. So the question is that, is it applicable for free zone based companies? And is it applicable to safe zone companies specifically?
Hello, everyone. Yes, thank you, Priyesh, for the question. Yes, In case of free zone companies, yeah, well, this is the most common question among the most common questions that have been asked. So yes, it doesn't matter if the company is in free zone or mainland. There is no actually no concept of free zone in ESR. Basically, what we need to do is we need to look at the idea of substance over form, and we need to assess whether the company is performing any activities that are within the scope of relevant activities that are defined in the law and the CIGAs that Mr. Samir has discussed. So, in light of these activities, we need to decide whether the free zone, whether the ESR regulations will be applicable to a company or not. And it doesn't matter if they are in a free zone or a mainland. So they are equally applicable to free zone companies and mainland.
Thank you so much, Zaki. Moving to the next question, and this question will be from CA Samir. If I'm providing the relevant activities only within UAE and not to any overseas entity, am I still covered? Samir, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, Priyesh, thank you. Yes, even if you are conducting the relevant activities only in UAE, the basic principle is that in case you are conducting relevant activities, ESR is applicable to you and you have to file the notification and the reports. So even if it is not outside UAE, just in UAE, still you need to do.
All right. Thank you so much, Samir. Now, my next question is something which is more technology related. So I would want to ask Mohammed Salman to share his knowledge on this. The question is that how can technology help to comply with ESR?
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. So just to answer the question, Priyesh, see, technology is a major enabler in terms of helping companies become compliant, and softwares like Tally and others out there in the market will help you maintain complete financials while having limited knowledge about the subject. They will give you all the data points required, but then technology is more of a tool that helps you ease the process of recording and analyzing and storing the data. You will still require the assistance of experts in the field like those from Chaturvedi group of companies who can advise you on the accuracy and the correctness of the subject.
That's a very well said thing, Salman. I totally agree with you. So with this, I would move to the next question, which is again from CEO Mendraji. So the question is that are all licenses required to prove that they do not come under the ESR scope? So Umendraji, your system is on mute, I guess. We can't hear you. Yes.
Yes, all companies have to assess themselves to understand if they are carrying any of relevant activities, business activities or not. And they have to file the notification to relevant authorities. So one more person is asking the what about the JAFZA? JAFZA has not announced the date yet.
Okay. I think that answers our question. And moving to the next question, we have, I would want to request Samir again to take up this question. The question is that how ESR is helpful for growing business?
Okay. It's not helpful to grow the business because it's basically compliance. But if you don't comply, it will definitely harm your business. That I can assure you. But growing wise, I don't think it's the compliance, and it's for the betterment of the UAE as an economy and as their stature in the world economy. So it's helping UAE.
I think that was quite a tricky one. Thank you for handling it so well. Now we have next question, which is from Zaki. How to register ESR in SEZone? Format to be submitted. Format to submit ESR return, with whom we need to submit.
Yes, Priyesh, thank you. issue is that the all the licensing authorities have brought their own regulations when to submit the ESR notification and when to submit the ESR return. They have provided their own deadlines and their own system for the for um, for the licensees to make this communication to the licensing authority. So for in case of SafeZone, they have rolled out in last month, early May, they rolled out a notification saying that all licensees uh, need to apply to them and identify their relevant activities. But as of now, SafeZone hasn't rolled out any sort of a form that can be used to apply or report the relevant activities, economic activities in relevant activities. So it is, but they are going to very soon introduce those forms, because 30th June is the last date for SafeZone as well. So we can expect that those forms to be released quite soon.
All right. Thank you. So I believe the answer stays with us that we need to further wait for the more
Exactly.
details to come. Thank you,
Exactly.
Zaki. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
With this, I would move to the next question, which is from Hasib. The question is whether it is required to submit the initial notification by all entities in UAE or the companies under the specific activity.
Sorry, can you please rephrase the question?
Yes, sure. So the question is whether it is required to submit the initial notification by all entities in UAE or the companies under the specific activities only.
Okay, so all the companies are required to submit notification to the relevant authorities. Some relevant authorities has specifically rolled out stating that even if you are not conducting any relevant activity, still you need to notify to the authority. However, there are some authorities, there is some confusion that maybe if you are not conducting a relevant activity, you don't need to do anything. But in my personal opinion, and as I have also seen different forms and portals for all the websites, there is an option that even if you are not conducting a relevant activity, you should submit the notification, because it would be better instead of not submitting and getting penalized. The penalty starts from 10,000. So it's better to submit. There is no harm in submitting the notification.
So I think the crux of it is the cost of non-compliance could be much higher than the cost of compliance.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Hasib. And my last question from the list is to Mr. Salman again, because it's something again related to technology and also with the current context of pandemic COVID-19. So considering the current pandemic, how can SMB take advantage of technology? And is there something Tally which is Tally planning for the benefit of SMB?
So, just to thank you for the question, Priyesh. Just to answer this, see, currently ESR is a very new development in terms of compliance in the UAE. And we, along with our partners like Chaturvedi Group, will be striving to give our customers the best possible solution for the same. However, unless and until we are able to deliver the technology through our partners, we will be working very closely with them to spread awareness on the topic and be thought leaders in the field. But definitely we will look at easing the life of the small and medium businesses by assisting them in giving the required reports and formats to be able to do this through a system.
Thank you so much, Salman. And I'm sure a lot of the attendees who are customers of Tally, it's a good news for them that they don't need to worry about anything. They are in safe hands. Thank you. So with this, we conclude our panel discussion. Thank you all the panel members for sharing their knowledge and views and guiding us all today. And I'm sure that a lot of our attendees might have more questions. Do not assume that we are not going to take your question answers. This was only a panel discussion to take up the questions which were received at the time of registration. We will be taking your questions separately towards the end of the session. So after this amazing learning session, we are left with two important sections of the event before we conclude the day. So the first one, which I've been talking about from the very beginning, is going to be an exciting game which we call Power of Three. and this is to reward 3 lucky winners. And the winners will be announced right here on the session. So please stay with us till the end. You could be the lucky winner tonight. And I'll shortly explain the rules, and I would request complete attention at that time so that you could be a winner. And the second part of the section which will be there is a question answer, as I told you, where I would like to request all the panel members to join us again and address the concerns which are raised by the participants. And I request all the participants that while I explain the rules of the game, post that you can start writing your questions, your doubts in the chat box. So I would like to share my screen now. Okay, so I hope you all can see my screen now. As I told you, it's time for us to play a small game and win some exciting gifts. So the game is called Power of Three. And what is the point of having this Power of Three? I'll explain you that now. So the game is very, very simple. This is going to be online as well. We will be sharing a link with you in the chat box. I would request my colleague Sachin or Praveen to please share the link of this game in the chat box with all the participants. You can click on that link and you can start, filling up a small, quick 2-minute survey. So why we call this game a power of three? Because you are requested to share your feedback first of all, and then introduce 3 such people who will get benefited from one of these things. One could be a similar session that we do on ESR, or they might be looking for a Tally license. So any of these 2 things, if you feel that there is someone you know, please recommend their name as well as their contact details. And this is required at least 3 people. So remember that you need to give 3 contact points and not less than 3 to enter into the lucky draw. Once you have done that, you submit the form and my colleague will help us consolidate the results. And I'm sure this consolidation of results is going to take some time because we are more than 100 participants. So I'm sure there will be a lot of people. So give us 5-10 minutes to consolidate that and you can start filling up the survey right away. And another important thing that what you win, so I would mention here that there are 2 options. The first option for the winners is to choose a 100 dirham voucher of Noon, and the other option is a free TDL to manage your ESR requirements. Now, this free TDL is under development, and this might take this month's time, but rest assured that this TDL is worth more than this 100 voucher. So if you're a customer of Tally, I'm sure you might appreciate going for the second option. But if you are not using Tally and you aim to use Tally in near future, even then you can opt for second option. And here the time starts. I hope the chat has the link now. So you all can go ahead, click on the link, start filling up the form, share your details, share 3 people you know who might get benefited from one of these 2 deliverables. One could be a similar session on ESR, or it could be a Tally license. So you might want to nominate any of your customers, your suppliers, your business friends. One tip could be that you can probably take out your smartphone and try finding some names. That usually helps. So I give you 5 minutes from now to fill up the form, and post which we can switch to question and answer round. And in the meantime, I request everyone not to type your questions right away. Let's first finish with the game part, and then I would tell you when to start typing your questions. Because otherwise, the game link will scroll up, and people will be finding it difficult to go to the link. If you are done with the submission of your survey, you can probably just raise your hand. There's an option in your Zoom meeting to raise your hand, and we'll be able to see who all are done, how many people have filled up, so that we can quickly move to the next section. So again, for the benefit of all, let me repeat the rules of the game. So the rule is simple. You have to tell your name, your contact details, post which you have to nominate 3 people, business friends, with their contact details. Okay, Shamir Khan has mentioned that there is an error on submission. Can somebody please look into it? I'll request my technical team to please assist here. Shamir, give us a few minutes. I think other people are able to submit successfully. Probably, Shamir, you can try filling up the form maybe in a different browser. This could be an issue with the browser. You can copy the link from the chat and probably try pasting it in a different browser and then try submitting it. Thank you, Shamir. Okay, coming back to the rules of the game, once again, for the benefit of all, it's very simple. You have to give your contact details, name, of course, so that we know who's the winner. Post which you will be asked to share 3 business friends or anybody who might get benefited from a session like this or a Tally license. Nominate their names so that we can get in touch with them. And after that, you can rate this session. How did you find the session and submit it? People who have done this, they can just raise your hand so that we know how many people are done with this. Again, to remind you, the winners will be 3. There'll be 3 lucky winners, and winners have this option of choosing from one of these 2 gifts which we have for you. One is a 100 dirham voucher from Noon, and the other is a TDL, free TDL, I would say, from Chaturvedi Software House on ESR. So a lot of people have mentioned done, which is a brilliant thing, and I'm proud that we could come out with a survey which can be done within a minute or 2. So good work, team. Okay, now that a lot of people are done, and I can see a lot of people, done with this. Probably you can start filling up or writing your questions in the chat window, and then we can move to the question answers round. So if you have any question related to ESR, I'm sure Samir was brilliant with this session, but there were some technical glitches which definitely hindered you from learning incomplete. So if you have any portion of the presentation which is not clear, you can just mention which slide number or which portion, and I'm sure Samir would love to take you through that again. Shamir, I was right. So you had browser issues. Great. So it's sorted. I think you have also submitted the form. That's wonderful. I don't see many questions coming in, which is surprising because this is a very interesting topic, and I was expecting a lot of questions here. There was a question before. Probably we'll have to scroll up to go to the questions. Otherwise, I request the people to just retype the questions once again so that we don't miss out on any question. Okay, so now I think till the time we consolidate the results of this lucky draw, we can give time for the question answers round. And I request all the panel members to please unmute yourself, and we can take one by one the questions which are coming on the chat window. So request you all to please unmute yourself. Uh, I'll go ahead. I'll start with the questions. The first question which I can see on my screen is for DED companies, as there is no customer portal like DMCC and other free zones. So how they can submit ESR notification? There's an open question. Any of the panel members can uh, decide to unmute and answer the question.
Hello. Hi, Priyesh. Can you please repeat the question?
Yes, sure, Zaki. The question is that for DED companies, as there is no customer portal like DMCC and other free zones, so
All
how
right.
they can submit ESR notification? So what's the
Well,
procedure for
there
that?
is, yeah, for the in the for the mainland companies, there is a separate procedure for submitting the ESR notification and the returns. For that purpose, uh, that link that is a totally different process with from the free zones that we have seen. Every free zone has their own procedure, but in case of mainland companies, the procedure is totally different and generic for all the licenses. So yeah, for that we the client needs to they need to contact us, and then we can help them sort that out.
All right. So this question
Exactly.
was from Patel Junaid. Sorry, this question was from YI, and we request you, sir, that there were some contact details available. You can reach to us and get to understand the details of what is the procedure like, and I'm sure the team and NUF will be able to help you with that. Moving to the next question from Patel Junaid. Does ESR apply to LLC company registered under Department of Economic Development, which is DED? So this is again an open question. Anybody can please go ahead and answer the question.
Yeah, Priyesh, I'll take that question. We have my voice is audible, right?
Yes, Samir, you can go
Yeah.
ahead.
So as we had mentioned again and again, it is applicable to all the licenses. So even if your license issuing authority is DED, you have to submit the notification, and if you are conducting a relevant activity, you have to submit the report as well.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Samir. And the next question that we have here is from, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. It's Kirasho. Kiriasho. Does the hotel industry come under the purview of ESR? Samir, would you like to take up this question again?
See, hotel industry specifically, as we said, we have to go based on the substance over form approach. So, being in a hotel industry, providing loan, other group.
Samir, we are facing some network difficulty again with you. Uh, so is there
Hello.
anyone else who might want to answer this question? Or Samir, you can try once again, maybe if the network is better now.
Hello.
Yes, Samir.
Yeah.
Samir, you're not audible.
Oh my God.
Well, in that case, we'll request someone else to please take up this question. I repeat the question. Does the hotel industry come under the purview of ESR? And I guess we can go unmute. Everyone can be on unmute rather than,
Hello.
requesting for someone.
Hello, Priyesh.
Hello.
Yes, yes,
Is my voice audible now?
yes, you are.
Yeah. So regarding the hotel industry, it depends. Even being in a hotel industry, as we said earlier, you have to take substance over form approach. So being in a hotel operations or hotel industry, you might be providing loans to your sister concerns for a fee, or you might be importing from a foreign connected person. So as we said earlier, you don't have to look at the specific industry, whether it is mentioned in the relevant activity. You have to look at each and every relevant activity. You have to understand, and then accordingly, you have to assess your P&L and see whether you are generating income from any of the relevant activities. So straight away, I cannot say yes or no. It depends, I can say.
Okay. So one more question is there from this one is from Shamir Khan. What about DED companies in Dubai, and what's the deadline?
So deadline is again 30th June for DED companies as well.
Okay.
To file application. And as far as I know, the notification has to be submitted online by entering their license number. The DED will be specifying the complete details soon, so then we'll be able to let you know.
All right. So the next question we have is from Joylin, which is, we have single family office license from BMCC and provide export of services to the group companies based in overseas. Are we covered under any relevant business activity covered by ESR? If yes, please advise which business activity would it be?
Hi, Prish. I would like to answer that question.
Yes, Atif, please.
Even if it's a family-owned business, regardless of that, all the companies are required to comply by this ESR law. So instead of looking it in this way, we need to have another perspective that if the services by their businesses are being provided to group companies which are owned and owned by the same common law in both companies, the companies in UAE and the companies overseas, then definitely there are great chances that their business is covered under the ESR regulations. Regardless of ESR applicability, the notification is a must to be submitted for all the companies. So yes, notification they have to submit, and whether or not ESR is applicable, further assessment needs to be carried out. For that, they can just go through the law mentioned on the published on the Ministry of Finance website. Alternatively, we are also here to assist in that regard. Our contact numbers are already displayed, and yes, obviously they can contact us for the assessment as well.
Thank you so much, Asif. That was wonderful. The next question we have is from Rashid. So the question is there any specific portal for submitting the ESR returns?
Every free zone and the other relevant authority, they have specified their portals. For instance, some have not yet, but for instance, JAFSA has not yet announced its portal, but majority of the free zones as well as mainland has also recently announced their portals through which the mainland companies can submit their ESR notification. So it is not centralized. It depends on each relevant authority. So, for instance, some free zone authorities like Rakesh, there's an online portal, and there are some free zones with the relevant authority like Ajman Free Zone. There's no online portal. They have to manually submit the ESR notification. So it varies from relevant authority to relevant authority.
That's great. Another question that I can see on my screen now is from Sumit Sharma. We just import raw material from Europe and sell it after conversion. Though the owners have business in India, but not mutual transaction, do I need to register?
Hello.
Yes, Zaki sir.
Yeah, Priyesh, can you please repeat this question?
Yeah, sure. So the question is that we just import raw material from Europe and sell it after conversion, though the owners have business in India, but not mutual transaction. Do I need to register?
Well, yes, in this case, there is a possibility that ESR will be applicable, but still there will be a variety of transactions, and we need to look the transactions actually to perfectly assess whether it will be applicable or not. But I think in most likely scenario it will be applicable, but still we need to perfectly assess. In order to perfectly assess that, we need to look at the transactions more clear in order just to be perfectly clear.
Yes. Just to add here, I see a lot of questions whether it will be applicable to us. It will be applicable to us. So I just would like to highlight that just looking at one transaction or one trade license activity, it will be unfair for us to judge and let you know that whether it will be applicable to you guys or no. So in case you have any specific query, you can always reach out to us. But apart from that, if you guys have any queries relating to understanding anything, we are here to answer. So because I see a lot of questions similar that is it we are conducting this kind of transaction, is it applicable to us? So most of the times our answer will be straight away, we cannot tell it as of now because we need to assess what activities you are doing and how you are generating your income. So that's just.
Thank you, Samir, for stepping in and answering the question. So Sumit Sharma had asked one more question, which is no notification received from any authority till now. Please guide.
I want to
Yes, Somendra
provide
ji,
this. I think it's only Jabja. Yes, they are just not decided. Just we are waiting for the just a date from the Jabja side only.
Okay. There is one statement, I'm not sure if that's a question, that's been asked by Vartika Mehrotra. You've just written third port shipments ESR applicable. I don't know what's the question like, but if you are able to understand, please help us understand.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
Priyesh.
okay,
Okay,
Zaki,
okay.
go on.
Samir, you
Go
can.
on, go on.
Okay. Yeah, Priyesh, in this case, again, ESR may be applicable. Still, we need to assess the scenario. But yes, as per the law says, law talks about the substance over form regulation. We need to assess on the basis of substance over form. So if there are third port shipments, no shipment basically is arriving in UAE, but there is a recording of income and there is a movement of funds in and out of UAE. So in that case as well, if we consider those sort of transactions, the purpose of ESR law is basically defeated. So in that case, it is likely that ESR regulations will apply. But then again, we need to see the transactions actually to give a clear picture.
All right. Thank you so much, Zaki. Moving to the next question, and we are short of time now, so might be possible that we might not be able to take all the questions from here onwards, but I'll try to take a few questions now. We have one more question from Riyaz NP. We are Forex online trading company, and our main company registered in outside UAE. In UAE, we have representative office licensed from DED. Shall we submit ESR?
Hello, I would I'll answer the question that the forex trading companies, uh, if they are providing any services to their related party in the other country where their other office is situated, then yes, ESR would be applicable. Then again, as Samir has already phrased that, looking at just one transactions, we won't be able to assess because there are some other factors as well which may need to be assessed. So to briefly answer your question, it depends on what sort of business model they have, what transaction they are conducting, whether they are dealing with only clients in UAE or they are providing services to the related parties or the overseas entities as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Hasib. Now we have few more questions, but I would want to understand from panel members that do we want to take up all the questions right away, or you might want to answer those questions later through an email or something, since we are short of time now.
Please, just there's one question that I would like to answer, or one of the participant is asking, and I think that is very important question.
Yes,
all of our participants would benefit from this. There's a question that there are some companies who have a branch in like they have office in mainland, then they have a branch in some free zone. For instance, they have a mainland company, then they have a branch in Ajman free zone. So whether they are required to submit only one ESR notification, or they have to submit a mainland notification and submit a separate notification in Ajman free zone. So the answer is yes. they need to submit separate notification, because Ajman free zone, it is about the relevant authorities. So the relevant authorities are different. For mainland company, the relevant authority is DED. Then for the Ajman free zone or any other free zone, the relevant authorities are different. So it is better to submit separate notification for each relevant authority to avoid any compliance issues. But yes, if you have like a mainland a company in mainland, and then you have the branches in mainland itself, then you don't need to submit separate notification for each branch in mainland. So yes, I think that answers the question, and all the participants that might be involved in this situation, they would be aware of this now.
Yes, I think thank you so much, Asif, for taking up a good question, which I might have missed otherwise. Now, with this question, we would want to conclude the question and answer round. And you'll be glad to know that I have a team has been able to consolidate all the names. And I would want to quickly share the screen so that we can go ahead and ask our randomizer to select 3 lucky winners today. So here we go. I hope you all can see my screen. So the randomizer has picked up some 10 odd names, in fact more. I'll go ahead and we'll start with our first lucky winner's name. Mr. Rumi R. Keshwala. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations a lot. You are our first winner of the lucky draw, and would request to know that which particular award you might want to go ahead with. So you had an option of 100 dirham voucher and an ESR TDL pack. You can pick, and our team will get in touch with you. So here we go for the second one. Let's keep our fingers crossed, all of you. Let's see who wins. The second lucky winner is Naveen. Congratulations, Naveen, from all of us, from Team Tally and from Team NUF Chartered Accountants. You are our second lucky winner. You can request which particular award you might want to go ahead with. You can leave your remarks in the chat box. And the last one for the night. And the randomizer stops at Riyaz MP. Riyaz MP, congratulations, you are our last final lucky winner. With this, I would want to conclude the session, and I would want to thank you all for coming here, attending this session, joining us. This was a wonderful session, and without your presence, it wouldn't have been possible for us. And last but not least, I would want to invite Umendra Sahab to please address the audience and share a final word of thanks with all of us.
Thanks, Prayesh. First of all, I would like to thank Tally Solution, who gave us this wonderful opportunity by organizing such wonderful event and invite us to speak about ESR. I would also like to thank you all for joining and taking part of us. Without you all, we would never to be able to conduct event like these. So thank you so much. Creating awareness is one of our prime intent, which we conduct more than 200 vet and exercise event in part at this relevant time. In continuation of that, now we are conducting ESR event. Last but not least, if we can be of any help to you or any of your friend in order to sort any queries, please feel free. Don't hesitate, contact us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Umendra sir. Thank you for sharing your words. And with this, we would